a lot of the things that aren't in place now is putting forms up on the web, having a lot of our data in databases that are accessible from the web where people can just go in and they can get their permit information, they can get their information about their taxes. I mean, so again, so everything's transparent. If the city makes those steps that they're communicating and that the people working in City Hall have been trained in those computer skills, that will be a big step towards getting us in this century. Then the things as far as the city itself, the city can invest in bringing in the high fiber optic lines that would attract businesses that again use IT, that need those kind of cabling and all that. There's things that the city could do then once they get their act together and they're using technology effectively, then they can put that infrastructure in place in the city to then attract those businesses to the city.
We seem to have a tree problem in the city of Plainfield. The trees have aged. And in fact, down the street from me last year, I was on my way to Kentucky, and before I left, I heard a big bang. I looked out my window, my neighbor's tree. Not the tree, but a limb fell, and the limb was just as big as the tree.
Right.
How can we inspect these trees, or should we inspect the trees? Should we inspect trees on people's property? Should we?
Well, I think the thing is that the city is responsible for the street trees, which is between the sidewalk and the street.
Yes.
Yeah, the trees on a homeowner, as a homeowner, you're responsible for those. So that's the homeowner's responsibility if there's a tree in trouble on their property. I know there is a tree committee, but I don't believe that it's been very active or it's been very effective. Again, I was talking to April, who again, this is her bailiwick, and she just said the city has an issue because there are a number of trees that need to be taken down, and I believe it's a cost issue because it takes money to take a tree down. And it takes time to identify a tree, to say this tree needs to come out. So I think that again, this is that list of 100 things that need to be tackled in the city.
This was right here.
Right.
One
so if this is high up on the list, then again you would say, all right, this is number 10. So we're going to put a group together again. It could be it could be a professional, and then again with volunteers to know how to inspect a tree and say, okay, this one's suspect, this one needs some help, this one needs to be cut down.
Well, let me interject this right here, Oliver, when we talk about the trees. I know that some of the trees are on people's personal property, on their property. But if the tree falls, it becomes a danger to the public. So should we, as inspectors, ride by and see different things wrong with your house, and they give you, some kind of...
that's a valid point. If people wanted to, I mean, because you're right, if there's a tree that's on someone's property that's ready to fall down, and then they could be cited for that, just like being cited that your porch is ready to be falling down. I mean, I think that's a valid, I mean, and that's the other thing is, I think the whole point of being a council member or being a mayor or being anything, an elected official, is to listen to people. And when people bring things to you, you go, well, yeah, you're right. Okay, let's figure out how to fix that. Let's figure out together what's the best way to tackle it. So, so I would agree that that's a valid thing, because you're right. If the tree comes down and it's in the middle of the street, but technically right now, if the tree's on your property, you're responsible for it. And what do you do if someone doesn't have the money to take that tree down? Like if you've got an elderly couple and they've got an ancient old oak in their front yard and they just don't have the money to take it down.
But we do have city maintenance that we could probably train some of those guys, with the UP&A and the other city yard, that somehow that they could, I'm just throwing this out. I'm clergy, so I really don't know. But I think it's time to move the city in a different direction and create jobs and create incentives. Where if it was a thing where the city had to cut the tree down, and maybe you could be charged just a small amount every year to pay off the tariff of the tree and the brush to be removed. But someone has to take a look at that right there, because if a tree falls, it's not just on me. That tree can endanger cars, people's property, and just human beings.
Yeah, no, you're right, and there can be creative ways to do it. Maybe this is where you take your youth and they apprentice with a master tree person. And they become your tree surgeons.
Because we have the tools here in Plainfield with the UP&A and the other city yard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, it's like But I think that that's the kind of thing, if they're brought forward, and then that's, to me, a council person's job is to think it through and come up with ideas and work with people to come up with ideas, and you figure something out, you know.
Yeah. That will not be taxing to the homeowner.
Right.
Okay, Oliver, we are at the end of this interview. What would you like? How would you like to conclude? What was your last words you like to say to people? I think
it's very simple. I'm not a politician. I look at being a council member as being, if I get elected, it would be a duty. I would be serving the public. I'm not, you know, to me, you know, being a politician is not about, oh, look at me and I'm so great, or, you know, no, to me it's about serving people, and that's how I would take it, is that my job would be to listen to the citizens in my ward who I'm representing and bring your problems to me, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on, and if I don't have an answer to a problem, I'll bring it out to the citizens and say, well, what do you think? And to me, it's like if one person can't solve things, but people working together, my God, you can get a lot solved that way. So that would be basically how I'd approach being a city, you know, elected official.
Well, Oliver Lynch, again, we're at the end of this interview, and I wish you all the luck.
Oh, thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.